in the movie, I ain't talking about the rich ones.
Wholesaling, lease options, marketing mastermind. Good morning, everybody. Gil here. If you can hear me clearly and if you can see the screen as well, please go ahead and confirm in the GoToWebinar control panel. We got some questions here that were either emailed in, turned in on one of our forums, or just stuff that I like to, kind of surf and find online, see if we can help some folks out who are attempting to wholesale properties. Couple of big updates here for everyone. We have rolled out and updated our group coaching program. So please, there is a new link that is coming up in sometime late this week. I think Steve's going to get that out for everyone. But if you are in group coaching, please use those as your daily support and training. Now, it's not required, just like any of our daily sessions here. They're not required for you to show up. But if you're online, you're at work, you got nothing else better to do, hey, turn in a question or dial in and check out some of the latest inquiries that we are getting. I am personally a part of several training programs, whether it be real estate, marketing, and other different tools and strategies. And even if I don't have a specific question on that particular day, I still do show up because there's somebody in the room that asks a question and you get that aha moment, right? So welcome. If everything's coming out loud and clear, once again, please go ahead and confirm. Let me go ahead and touch base here with our panelists, see what's going on their end. Good morning, Bill. How are things going on your end?
Hey, things are great, Dale. Good to see you, man.
Awesome, awesome. How was the weekend?
Hey, the weekend was great. Weekend was great. So, made some seller calls and getting ready to do some more deals. And students are doing good. One of them held an open house this weekend, her first open house in her whole life. Wow. So I'll get a report back this afternoon when I talk to her. But just a quick tip is, I recommend if you're operating locally and it's number one. Number two, if you're operating locally and you really want to learn the business, then you ought to do the first 6 deals personally, rather than doing everything virtually. You can do that, but if you really want to learn the business, you need to walk in the moccasins of a real estate investor for at least a half a dozen deals. And part of that process is to go meet the seller personally, hold an open house, put flyers, in a flyer box in front, and go through the whole process and learn how to do it. And then you can streamline it later on. And so one of the tips that I recommend, and this is really a simple deal, is if you want a flyer box, don't spend $40 on a flyer box. Go over to Lowe's. And in the sign section at Lowe's, they have these little plastic boxes that you can buy for $3. And also in that same section, they have these little rods. They're wooden rods that they use for reflective things. And you could take one of those rods and put it in the back of this little plastic box. There's a little slot in there. You just slide it in there and then tape up the rod against the box, and you've got yourself a flyer box for about $4 rather than 40. And so that's kind of what we do. I got 4 or 5 of those puppies. And you just go out there and put them in the front yard. We like to put 2, one at the parkway and one in the front yard. And then if the ground's real hard, bring a long screwdriver with you so you can make a hole, and maybe even have a hammer, make a hole for the rod and then put it down in there. And then stick your flyers in the box. Put one on the parkway. That way people don't even have to get out of the car. They just drive up and grab a flyer. And you can start marketing your properties. What she did was she put signs out around Thursday that said open house with directional arrows to the property. And then so she directed everybody from the highways to the property. And then in the front yard, she had a rent-to-own sign, and next to that it said open house 2 to 4 Sunday. And then she had a flyer box next to that and a flyer box in the parkway. So people, they drove to the property, they saw the outside of the house, they looked at the neighborhood, and they had a flyer. And a lot of people even called from those and said that, they asked a few more questions, but they said they're going to be at the open house this Sunday. So if you got somebody that does all that and then they drive to the house and look at it on Sunday, you got somebody that's 80% ready to buy that property or ready to rent on that property. So just a tip for the day. Back to you, Gil.
Nice, nice. So it's Monday. Don't want to put you guys on the spot right off the bat. Bill will continue to share some of the one-on-ones, some of the feedback and tips that he's having with investors that are both doing deals locally. I mean, he runs his own RIA group in his market. He is the go-to decision maker out there, and we have quite a few people on here, and we're really lucky to have presidents of their own RIA groups contributing to these sessions. So it's definitely some awesome stuff. Some questions did come in throughout the weekend, some that were sourced online from some of the forums and pages that we maintain. So we'll definitely jump right into it. Tony, how many deals do you average in the pipeline? Like I mentioned when I replied in the questions, I like to have an additional 2 to 4 contracts that are out there, either in the process of getting signed, under review, or that we have already gotten signed and we are looking to move them forward somehow. And that's to offset some of the deals that don't go through, right? Or deals that'll get delayed or pushed out an extra 15, 30, 45, 60 days. That kind of stuff does happen, okay? Even if a deal looks great all around, the numbers look good, all parties involved have agreed and have signed off on it, there could be a new event that arises or new pieces of information that would delay or push the closing date out. For example, somebody's leaving, going internationally on a holiday, or there was a lien that had popped up during a more detailed search that was done on the property. We're working on a lead right now. Actually, we just closed on this rehab. We're working on a rehab right now. But that closing was delayed 30 days because there was a local utility company that needed to get paid. And during the search, right, when title ran the title search, the lien didn't pop up on there. So it's not like somebody was trying to pull a fast one or do something sneaky. It just didn't pop up on their search. And so that had to push it out or delay it there a little bit to make sure that we could move forward there on the deal. Now, Tony, I know the market that you're in. It's one of the markets that I had got started in. So like I was talking to my team, and they are logged on here, anybody that's on the phones. I want to set a reasonable goal of 1 contract per week, and that's just in the owner financing rent-to-own strategy, right? So that's what we're looking at there. Also, some good news for you. We are taking a look at the older Podia workspace that you had, and we're in the process of moving those into the new workspace that you have set up. Okay, so let's jump right into some of these questions that are popping up here. Keep everybody moving forward. You found a deal, okay? The seller has an agent who wants a commission. You find an end buyer and you work in your fee. If it's a double close, does the end buyer pay for the commission and the closing costs with the funds of that contract, and does it cut into your fees? Okay, would you be turned off from this deal if you were the end buyer? Personally, if I was the end buyer, if my numbers still pencil out and they work, for example, if I was looking to have a 15% profit margin at the end of the day and we achieve that, then I wouldn't be turned off by the deal, okay? Because we still make our profit margin. Now, when you first take a look at the numbers, it may seem a bit of a turnoff because, oh my goodness, there's an agent that I need to pay, right, as an end buyer. Now there's this other wholesaler involved, so I got to pay them out a fee too, okay? And at the end of the day, you know, that's a lot of additional fees. But if I meet my profit margin, it's a good deal, then 100% move forward. If you're dealing with the right buyer, a seasoned investor, a rehabber, okay, that has purchased from wholesalers and agents and property scouts and bird dogs, they will not have a problem with that. If you're dealing with a new buyer that you've never done business with before or that's just getting started, a lot of these folks don't understand the value that wholesalers bring to the table. So you need to be a little bit patient and educate them on how that whole process works, what wholesalers bring to the table, or simply just focus on the bottom line. If they make their profit margin, whether that's a percentage, 10, 20, 50K, if they want to make 100K at the end. If they make that, then they do. That's what they should be focusing on, right? Bill, what can you add to that when it comes to these particular scenarios? I know that's a touchy thing, especially this time of year where there's a lot of people coming into the marketplace, both wholesalers and from a buyer side. Would you care at the end of the day if you had a deal and there's all these people in between that's getting compensated or paid? How would you look at it? What's a good way to frame this so that it makes sense and we're not focusing on something that would prevent us from doing a deal when the numbers and it follows the plan? You know what I mean? Like, we're looking to make X and we achieve that with this deal. What's your take on that?
Well, first of all, you know, and when you use the term end buyer, by the way, that means a retail buyer that's getting a loan. So, you know, you need to don't use that terminology unless it's actually a retail buyer that's getting financing. So that's what an end buyer means. What you're talking about probably is an investor cash buyer. So, but let's break the deal down. First of all, the cash buyer, end buyer, has no relationship with the seller. You're talking about two totally separate transactions. The way you need to look at this is it's as though you're buying it from somebody that already owns the property and you don't care what was done in the past. So it's an A to B transaction, which is where you, the investor, are buying it from the seller. And so if the seller has a real estate agent that wants to get paid, then that's the seller's responsibility to see that that happens. It's the seller's responsibility to build in the real estate fee as part of the price that the seller's charging the investor. So if we're talking about a, let's say, $100,000 property, well, within that $100,000 price, you know, that seller has to have the money in there to pay that agent. So if you're actually buying the property for $50,000, then there should be a 3 or a 6% commission built into that $50,000 price. At 6%, it'd be $3,000. So you're buying it from the seller for $50,000, and as part of that sales price, the seller is going to be paying their agent 3 or 6%, whatever the fee that was negotiated. So now you've got the property tied up with the seller, let's say for $50,000, and you're turning it around now and selling it to your cash or quote end buyer, where you're the seller in the B2C transaction and you're actually selling it to that particular cash investor or end buyer, and they're paying $65,000. And so if the $65,000 price on a $100,000 property fits in their criteria for profit, they could care less what you did in the previous transaction, because all they're concerned about is what they're paying based on what the property is worth. And so, yeah, they shouldn't care at all what they're doing, and they wouldn't have any responsibility at all to take care of the original seller or anything like that. All they're concerned about is what's it worth, how much does it need in fix-up, and what they're paying, and does the amount that they're paying fit their business model or profit criteria. And if it does, they're going to go ahead and buy the property. If it doesn't, they're going to pass. It's just that simple. So back to you, Gil.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, I like that clarification. I'm glad you mentioned that one on there, Bill, when you use the term end buyer. Again, tomato, tomato, potato, potato, just depends what marketplace you're in. Some people use the terms interchangeably when they shouldn't. Sometimes you can, so I'm glad Bill did mention that on there, who you are referring to as the end buyer. The way I understand it, I mean, if I'm the one that's going to get stuck at, you know, I'm basically the one that the deal is going to as the rehabber at the end of the day. So again, depends on how you frame it and how you focus on what you do focus on, right? So you can get hung up on the fact that so many people is going to get paid in the middle, but if you still make your numbers and you make your profit, I mean, it sounds like you're still on target. You know what I mean? Question, what do you do if you are in another state and have no one on the ground there to take pics or show the property? A couple of questions, right? Why are you getting leads in a market that you don't have anybody on the ground for? That's one. Maybe, right, you're marketing for deals in Los Angeles. You sent a postcard to the homeowner who lives in Los Angeles, but he calls you and says the property is located in Indiana. I get that, right? That happens. It's going to be a very, very small percentage, but that can happen. If you're in the position where you're marketing for deals in Los Angeles, but you're sending postcards to folks in Indiana, then you're totally missing the boat. Believe it or not, that does happen a lot. I'm really confused when people call me for consultations and they're like, we launched some marketing in this area. We don't have anybody on the ground. How do we do this virtually? It's like, well, first of all, who told you to approach it that way? It doesn't really, I don't know. It's confusing for me. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? Right? But let's say you are looking to do a deal virtually. First, have somebody locally in that area before you launch your marketing. That's my take on it. Now, if you happen to have a good lead that you can pursue virtually, you would, I would recommend building a local property or bird dog network in that area so that they can go out and take pictures for you. You can recruit agents also off of Craigslist, just like Property Scouts and Bird Dogs, who would take pictures of the property, show it, lock the property up, do whatever it is you need to. You set the agenda, you identify the tasks that need to be done, and find a candidate who would say, yes, I can deliver on all of these things, and the compensation works out. Or if they say, you know what, that's a lot of work, this property is 7 hours away from where I live, can we rework the numbers here a little bit so it's a better win-win scenario, then of course revisit that and work out a better fee. Now, here in California, we have been able to find property scouts or tenant buyer specialist or just a local boots on the ground person for as low as $350. They will take pictures, they will show the house, and they will even market it online. And if we can find somebody in a competitive marketplace like Los Angeles, technically in markets like the Midwest where there's lower cost of living, you know, that's a nice little benchmark that you can use or start with, okay, as a good talking point. At the end of the day, you always want to find out what the going rate is locally in that area. And you do that by calling on local wholesalers, local agents, and ask them what the going rates are. If you get a seller, a property under contract and take care of all the seller side of things, and somebody else takes care of the buyer side of the transaction, then technically you can split it down the middle. If you're a pretty savvy negotiator, or if you are a shark, and you agree to, you know, and you find somebody who agrees to doing all the work for like $100 or some joke of a commission split, hey, you know, all power to you. Whether that works in the long run is a totally different, you know, scenario or setup on there. I saw some of the comments that's popping up. I wouldn't necessarily be excited about somebody who agreed to show properties for you for $150. That is somebody that would, my take is, be there at the start. But in terms of long-term opportunity, this person will outpace you, or they will move on to somebody else that offers a fair and better split at the end of the day, right? Steve's got some good suggestions on here. They do deals virtually. Steve, in markets that obviously you guys do deals 100% virtually, you don't meet the seller, you don't meet the buyer. Sometimes you don't even talk to any of the parties, right? They're all handled via email. Who is showing the properties, and how are you getting those deals done? You might be on a self-mute.
I'm on like 3 mutes, dude.
Are you serious? You have the mic mute, you have the GoToWebinar mute. What's the third one?
And then the third is just my audio control panel.
That's a fail-safe, fail-proof. You got all the bases covered there, but good. It's like unlocking a code. So yeah, you had some nice comments on there. You know, how are you guys even showing these properties?
We do everything. Pretty much everything is the homeowners. We actually do have a couple bird dogs now in one of our virtual markets that we're using to take pictures and stuff. But I mean, still the majority of, and we've been operating like that for a long time, we have the homeowners do it. And I mean, it really helps to get that kind of plant those seeds on the front end. You know, even before the contract comes in, to, you know, let the seller know, hey, can you send me some pictures for the property, or, you know, let them know that they're going to be showing it, or, you know, start planting those seeds, or even like as far as access, right? So when the contract comes in and you're going to sell it, you're going to need, you know, you're going to need someone to show it, you're going to need pictures, and you're going to need access, you know, so if you can get that on the front end, then even better.
Nice. And a couple of things too, guys. If you're going to get the homeowner to show the property, take some applications on your behalf, my tip for you is let the seller have more, okay? Give up some of that option deposit, some of that wholesale fee, or whatever the bottom line is, because technically they're helping out on the deal. You know what I mean? So let's say you're putting together a lease with an option to buy. You have a $5K wholesale fee, okay? Then a portion of that set aside, or credit something. Just give more to the homeowner at the end of the day. Don't keep 100% of it, right? Yeah, the homeowner can have that in the form of a rent payment, okay? It can be in the form of a security deposit, right? You can get creative with the numbers, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is don't get greedy. You know what I mean? Don't get greedy. There are simple, practical solutions on how these guys are doing it 100% virtual. At the end of the day, there's a lot of collaboration in place, and there's a ton of rapport built with the seller. A lot of trust there, okay? Because technically, you're introducing the tenant buyer to the seller, right? And the seller can very well take that tenant buyer or take your cash buyer and attempt to put the deal together if they really wanted to. If you have rapport, if you've properly educated the homeowner and the tenant buyer on how this all works, the value you bring to the table, then you have a whole lot of more peace of mind and security that they're not going to go around you, okay? Have we lost deals to unscrupulous and shady third party or other people involved in the deal? Absolutely. Happened to us all the time. Probably happens to most virtual wholesalers than it does local investors, because a lot of what we do, again, there's a lot of people involved, or there's other parties that we have to bring in to help move the deal forward. But at the end of the day, definitely still doable. So if not the seller,
Hey, Gil?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, here's the way I would do it. I mean, yeah, you can utilize the seller for sure, but you're going to lose a lot more deals that way. Here's what I would do. If I was, and this is what we did, when I was doing virtual, we were in like 30 virtual markets around the country. And so this was our business model to deal virtually with these markets. First thing we would do was we'd find out who does the broker price opinions in that market for the lenders. When there's short sales and foreclosures going on in that market, which real estate brokers do the lenders hire to go out and value their properties? They've already done all the research and spent all the money to find out who the best people are. So I'd find out who the broker price of, and the way you do that is Google broker price opinion Oklahoma City, and the same names will keep coming up, and they're licensed real estate brokers. And like we had a market in Oklahoma City, to give an example. We found a broker there that not only was a real estate broker, was also a very successful investor and owned hundreds of houses. And he did broker price opinions because it got him leads on houses, before everybody else knew about them, number one. And number two, he got $75 for doing the BPO. And it was a no-brainer, and he was really good at it. So we got a hold of him. He went in one of our properties. He knows exactly how to take the pictures, right angles and all that stuff, front and the back of the house and all in the interiors. And so he put together a complete broker price opinion with all the information about the property. He had comparables, everything, $75. And so plus he was a specialist in construction, and he gave us an accurate estimate of what it was going to take to fix the property up. Plus, because now we were paying him and we were one of his clients, he gave us access to all the local appraisers, the best contractors in town, who the best title companies or attorneys were to close, and all the resources that we needed in that market. And we got all that for $75. Plus, he agreed for a leasing fee on our lease option deals or on our wholesale deals to show the property and take a piece of the pie. For leasing and rent-to-owns, he would take a leasing commission, and for wholesale deals, he took a piece of the profit that was reasonable simply for showing the property. It worked out to be about 20 to 25% of what our net was. And so we had a tremendous resource, plus somebody that had access to the MLS and all the other things. He knew all the players in town, and he knew where all the positive things were to deal in that market. And so that's what you want to do. Find a pro in the area, and the best way to do that is to find a broker price opinion agent that specializes in that area, and there'll be 4 or 5 of them. And also that'll give you access to REOs and all kinds of other things in that particular market. That's my best answer if you're operating virtually. Back to you.
Nice. Another, I haven't heard, or nobody that I've talked to or consulted for in terms of that does wholesale on a large level ever really mentions the whole BPO or that type of resource person in that area.
Because they're missing the boat.
Yeah, and a lot of them, like for me, my knee-jerk reaction, my first gut instinct when I go into a market virtually, property scouts, bird dogs. That's what I know. That's what I'm used to. And that's what comes naturally to me. For virtual wholesalers like Steve, they're comfortable letting the seller, do it. They know they've done so many, or they've experienced and lost enough deals with homeowners. They know what to say, what not to say, right? Bill likes to use the BPO guys. And actually last week, I was talking, Steve and I were on a 3-way call with a BPO, an appraiser in another local, in a virtual market. And this guy has been in the industry for over a decade. He knows what properties are worth. And that's the biggest challenge I know I face in a virtual market is how do we know what the house is worth? Because we can do everything virtual except make an accurate offer unless we have local intel, MLS access, and price points. So to be able to have a good resource person like that is gold. Now, Steve, make sure you follow up with Tim sometime this week because we are looking to transfer you out of one market and I know you're going into another one, but this guy can easily keep that pipeline open for you since he's also a rehabber. And that's what a lot of them end up doing, like Bill said. They get first dibs on a lot of properties that nobody else gets access to because they get calls for people to come out and value their house, even without any, we buy houses type of marketing. So another good resource there. Hopefully that pans out. All right, we're hitting 8:40. We're about our 30-minute cusp and marker. There's another third scenario that popped up on here. We will stack that for tomorrow's session. That way we can get the replays out much faster because our workloads are skyrocketing through the roof. It's the busiest time for us in terms of deals, in terms of our internet marketing, just all around. So if there's anything urgent, we'll hold out for another minute or so. I have a couple of resources that I wanted to share with you guys that I had just come across last week. People always hit me up on a regular basis for third-party content, any good tools, strategies, resources, learning materials. Here's a book that I'm actually in the process of ordering. It's How to Persuade People Who Don't Want to Be Persuaded. This is by Joel Bauer and Mark Levy. And I heard a lot of great things about this book. I've never heard about it, never read it. And I was looking for good materials to writing marketing pieces, letters, just updating our marketing entirely. So this was highly recommended to me by a marketer. So I'm going to get this this week. The San Diego workshop is going to be moved to September. Okay. The good news is it's being moved because of the high volume of leads we're generating in that strategy. And so if you are part of group coaching, you guys, the goal for you is to get a contract, something locked up within the next 30 days because of the volume of leads that we are generating for you in that particular pipeline. Okay, so just a heads up there. Lilia, I'm not a licensed realtor. Can I work with a realtor who has for rent houses? Absolutely. You do not need a license to work with a realtor. At this stage of the game or in your finding a good agent to work with process, just see if an agent is open to working with investors. Okay, like I tell agents, if you have any properties that are for rent that cannot get rented out for whatever reason, call me if something gets stuck on the market, because I want for there to be a problem that we can work on and get paid on. Right? If it's a new for rent listing, I don't want to hear about that. That's not what that's not the strategy that I'm primarily looking to be a part of. I'm not a full-time rental person. I have tenant buyers that are looking to buy properties. But I will first set the tone on rental houses that can't get rented, for sale or listings that can't get sold, and rehab deals, right? Off market, exclusive pocket listings. Those are the kind of stuff that I want to hear about. So That's all that I'm going to leave it at, right? Call me when you find something, Mr. Miss Agent. Okay? And when they get back to me, Lilia, then we'll continue to the relationship building. Then I'll gather more information. I just want to see some sort of signs of life that they actually call me or contact me when they have a problem or a particular lead or a deal that is really off market, right? Truly off market, or a something exclusive to them that we can work on, so that there's better control on the deal. It's easier to communicate with all parties involved, or simply that we're not competing with everybody in the marketplace. Exactly. I don't want to, I don't want to get caught up in a bidding war, right? It just doesn't work out. At least here in California, it really doesn't make sense much. Okay, if they are open to it, how do I structure the deal? Each deal is unique and different. It all depends on the numbers at the end of the day. So there is not a single template or cookie cutter formula that you can apply. Even the whole 70% of ARV, I mean, that's just a general rule of thumb. At the end, you would still have to go look at the property to get better estimates, get better pricing. So when they start submitting you leads, then you can start thinking about structuring deals. Don't worry about structuring deals before you have any leads coming in from that pipeline, right? Otherwise, you're going to be racking your brain because there's a million scenarios that can come up. And why worry about a million scenarios that are going to pop up when they may or may not occur, right? Get the leads coming in first. Get a good agent willing to communicate with you. Get somebody that's bringing you leads, somebody you can work with, somebody that's accountable, and somebody that's looking for the help, right? Or wants to work with you first. All right, let me see if there's anything else popping up. No, that's it. Yeah, the replay on the 11th has been uploaded. All notes are in there as well, so you guys can definitely check those out. Otherwise, this replay will make it on the website in the next 24 hours. If there's any other questions, you guys know how to get a hold of us. Group coaching takes place at 11 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There are different time slots on Tuesday, Thursdays. They will vary from either 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, depending on which ones you guys can make. And again, this is our way of helping address those urgent leads that need an actual offer, okay? Or that need a soft pass offer, or a seller that you need to get back to right away. I haven't heard of that one yet, Karen, but I can definitely look into it maybe later this week. Alrighty, so yeah, Tony was asking about the songs. There were 3 songs I was playing. Normally I just play these to get a little bit excited, turn up the atmosphere a little bit in the office or wherever I'm at. There's Happy by Pharrell Williams, Champion by Kanye West, and then there is also, what's the other one? Can't Hold Us by Ryan Lewis and Macklemore. Yeah. All right, everyone, so we'll see you first thing tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have any urgent questions, hit us up on Facebook or leave us a comment on the YouTube channel or the website that you're checking this out. My name is Gil, and on behalf of Bill and all their content contributors, have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.